The facade of the good woman. I want us to have a conversation about how we have normalized unhealthy behaviors that show signs of low self-esteem, a low sense of self-worth, of desperation, and transform that into this idea of being a good woman, a ride or die. Like tons of people on social media, I watch Love is Blind. I know a lot of people have been talking about Clay and AD, but I wanted to take their dynamic and view it from a little bit of a different lens and kind of incorporate it with what I've learned about myself as well. The end goal of the show is to get married to someone that you've been getting to know over a 6-week period. And Clay said in more ways than one that he was not ready for marriage.
Amber, do you take Clay for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health all of your days?
I do.
Clay, do you take Amber to live together in a union of marriage?
AD, I love you. I don't think it's responsible for me to say I do.
What?
I know fully I'm not ready for marriage.
You're a stupid man! A stupid, stupid man!
And if I'm not ready to give that 100%, I won't. Why does it matter, like, with the timeline? Why does that matter?
He's internalized a lot of trauma from his parents' marriage. He saw his father practice infidelity, pretty much crapped on his mom. They went through a divorce. He fears divorce, so he fears commitment, but he's also balancing that with wanting to be a better person, wanting to be a husband, but he's just not there yet. AD describes herself as having a save-a-hoe mentality. She often comes across men who have some sort of trauma. They might be very emotionally distant. There's a lot of things to work through, and it becomes her duty. She kind of has this urge to save them, to fix them, to heal them.
There were so many red flags with Clay. So many red flags with Clay. So many red flags with Clay. But Clay is a trying man, and I'm not the type to give up on a man that's trying. If he wasn't, then I would have walked away, but he tried every step of the way.
Let's be real. This save-a-hoe mentality ultimately boils down to lacking boundaries, ignoring red flags, and going above and beyond or performing in efforts to get attention from a man so that you can fill voids within yourself. Story of my life is searching for that right. What was interesting to me is everyone watched this season and a lot of people felt for AD. You know, how could Clay do her like that? She's a really good girl. She's a good woman. I challenge the idea that the way AD displayed herself on this show, the way that she put Clay before herself and before her own well-being, makes her a good woman. I want to be very clear that I'm not saying that she is a bad woman. However, I think that she displayed a lot of negative qualities or qualities that show that she really still needs to focus on herself and do healing within herself. Those qualities should not deem her a good woman. So taking a step away from AD, how often do we see these things happen every day? I've definitely been there before. You can let me know if you can relate in the comments. Being a ride or die, accepting that your needs aren't being fulfilled because you like to take on passion projects. You consciously or unconsciously attract men who are operating from an unhealed version of themselves. And you're attracted to them because their dependency on you makes you feel needed. It makes you feel like there's a higher chance of them sticking by your side because they are getting something from you. You are donating pieces of yourself to then make that person feel whole. And sadly, a lot of this boils down to having unresolved trauma, unresolved daddy issues that causes us to overextend our kindness, to be overly nurturing, to coddle men in a sense, as a way to form an attachment to them. The issues that I had with my father heavily impacted all of the relationships that I've had in my life. I saw that he kind of had two sides. Great father, very supportive, very hands-on, very engaged, showed so much love toward me. But then he had his own personal demons that brought out another side of him. Growing up, I struggled with the relationship that I had with my father because I'm like, dang, he has so many good attributes, but goodness, he also has some negatives that are kind of tipping the scales a little bit. But I see the good. I love him. He's my dad. So the good is something that I really want to focus on. but I can't really ignore this bad. But I want to focus on the good. And that mentality transferred over to my romantic relationships. I was attracting these men who displayed positive characteristics. Sometimes they were honest, sometimes maybe not so much. But either way, I saw good in them. Whether it was really there or not is a different story, but I believed in them, right? I saw their potential. And even though they had all of those negative things, right, those red flags, I wanted to focus on the good, AKA the save a hoe mentality. Child, I was real stupid. You know, it's crazy when you reflect on when you were stupid, but I was stupid. You know, I learned from it. But I was constantly pouring into someone who did not really want to be in a relationship with me. Regardless of what they said, what they thought they were ready for, it just was never going to be what I was hoping for it to be. But when I tell you that I dedicated so much of my energy into his goals, his dreams, his successes. Oh, you're looking for a job? Let me edit your resume for you. Oh, you're sending me mixed signals. Your words aren't quite aligning with your actions. Well, that's okay. I'm gonna give you a little bit of grace because I know that you aren't quite at the highest version of yourself yet. But when you get there, for sure you're gonna pick me because how could you not? I'm a good woman. The dedication, the way that I pour into people, I felt like that made me a good woman. But if we take ourselves out of the mindset of being in a relationship, really ask yourself, are these characteristics of a good person? Oh, Maria is such a good person. She tolerates things that she said she wouldn't, allows me to use her without any reciprocity, but she sticks around because she is dedicated to trying to make me become the person that she wants me to be. Be for real. Does that sound right? In any other setting, we would look at that person like they are a pushover. They don't have a backbone. They obviously don't love themselves. They seek validation from others. They want attention so bad that they do things that make themselves look stupid. All of those thoughts are what should be going through your head when we think of the concept of a good woman. Another thing that we need to ask ourselves, and ladies, y'all might not like this part, but we gotta go there. If you are doing things, being performative, only because you are looking to get affection in return, you want that commitment so bad that you'll go above and beyond, even when it's at detriment to yourself, all because you want that ring at the end of the day, or you want to be someone's girlfriend, or you want someone to lay next to at night. Isn't that a form of manipulation? It's actually interesting because when we think of men who have an end goal to have sex with us or even just to get our attention in a romantic way, if they're not being their authentic self, if they're going above and beyond, if they're putting on this facade of being a nice guy or a good guy, we don't think that's attractive. We actually think it's very deceptive. But in a lot of ways, we do the same thing as women. And I'll pick on myself for a second. I held so much resentment toward men in my past because I'm like, I gave this, I gave that, I was so dedicated, I wasted so many years, and I got nothing in the end. And at the end of the day, if you're being real with yourself, if you walk away from any of your relationships feeling like that, it's because you were operating in a version of yourself that isn't authentic. You were being performative. You moved in a way that you thought would get this man to commit to you or treat you right or do whatever it is that you wanted him to do. So now you feel like you got the short end of the stick. Whereas if we can get into the mindset of, one, being our authentic selves, and two, knowing when to walk away when we're not being appreciated for being our authentic selves, I don't think that we would feel that way. So ladies, the takeaway for today is that I really want us to reframe this idea of what a good woman is. Standing by a man who obviously is not ready to commit, is never going to commit to you, and is never going to treat you right, that does not make you a good woman. Wasting your years, your youth, when you could be focusing on yourself, maybe even being with someone else, because you're waiting for that man to come around and you want to show that you're patient, that does not make you a good woman. Knowing who you are, constantly working to be a better version of yourself, operating out of love toward yourself and also toward other people, being your authentic self and being a source of light in all of your relationships, that makes you a good woman because it makes you a good person. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!